KSHB 41 News starts now.
On Election Day, Kansas City said yes to more funding for affordable housing.
I'm homeless because I haven't had that proper access to affordable housing.
What this means to those who are navigating housing insecurity.
Plus, the outcome of a statewide vote only impacts the Kansas City Police Department.
I'm Ryan Takeo, breaking down and giving you some context of Amendment 4 in that vote. What's interesting is the one county that voted against it is on the other side of the state.
But first, Missourians vote to legalize recreational marijuana. We are digging into to learn what it means for local businesses.
Recreational marijuana is now legal in 21 states, including Missouri and Maryland, which both voted in favor of legalization yesterday. North Dakota, South Dakota, and Arkansas all voted against legalizing recreational marijuana.
So, Caitlin, we want to show you how the vote breaks down across Missouri. You can see a lot of this map here is in red. That means a no vote, but it's green in the most populated portions of the state, including right here in the metro, especially here in Kansas City, Missouri. One of the biggest margins of victory came here in Jackson County. As I clicked on that, you see 68% said yes here in Jackson County.
Well, this vote means more money for local dispensary owners. KSHB 41 News reporter Bryant Madrick found out how that will make an impact.
Now that Missouri voters said yes to recreational marijuana, a lot of businesses in the medical cannabis industry are ready to expand. I stopped by 2 medical cannabis dispensaries in Kansas City. The businesses say this opens up the door for options for their customers and for them.
I think that we'll start to see more people, which is good. As far as, we'll probably double our staff, so there'll be more jobs for us.
There's going to be a lot of money getting ready to come in here. This city could use some of that. The city itself, the community could use it. Typically when money comes in there, it doesn't fall into these areas. I mean, look where I'm located. I'm on 70th and Prospect.
So how much money could this bring in? At 6 o'clock, we take a look at one state that already made it legal, Colorado. In Kansas City, I'm Bryant Madrick, KSHB 41 News.
Coming up on KSHB 41 News at 6, the big question here is, when will the results of this vote take effect? I-Team reporter Sarah Plague finds out what happens next and when recreational marijuana could be available in Missouri.
After a long wait last night, we learned this morning Governor Laura Kelly won her bid for another term as Kansas governor. So you can see there were about 976,000 total votes. Governor Kelly won the counties with the larger population. See these ones in blue here where there are more people. They voted in her favor. Those include Wyandotte, Johnson, and Douglas counties. The overall margin of victory, just about 14,000 votes.
Well, this afternoon, Derek Schmidt released a statement conceding from that race. He says, I congratulate Governor Kelly on her apparent re-election and wish the best for our beloved state during the next 4 years. I will continue to be among those who want to make our state better, despite the gravitational pull of modern politics and mass communication having largely obscured so much of that discussion. Thank you, Kansas, for this opportunity. Today, KSHB 41 News reporter Jian Kim went to the capital city to get reaction to Governor Kelly's re-election.
We walked around downtown Topeka today, walking up to people to get their reactions to Governor Laura Kelly's win. Whether they support her or not, I wanted to find out what they want to see in the next 4 years. After hours of waiting on election night, Kansas woke up in the morning to find out Governor Laura Kelly will serve for another 4 years.
I just saw that she retained the governorship, and I think that's fantastic.
Governor Kelly released a statement on Wednesday outlining her goals for Kansas going in her next term: high-speed internet, affordable health care, and speeding up the elimination of the food tax.
Xing the food tax was great for me.
We need to focus on expanding Medicaid.
The governor also outlined what she believes were the successes of the past 4 years. So we hit the streets to find out what you think. How do we take the right steps in the next 4 years?
I believe she should change her position on much of the school legislation, on much of what takes place as far as abortion, gun control, etc.
People that don't have high wages, we definitely need that. We need to focus on that.
I think our taxes could be lower, obviously, but there's some things there I think that will be worked on with the legislature.
I spoke with multiple people on both sides of the aisle, and a common thread was this: they hope Governor Kelly can continue to work in the spirit of bipartisanship.
I think sometimes the emotions get in the way of the process.
Jian Kim, KSHB 41 News.
And with a number of close races in Kansas, we're answering a question you may have. Will there be a recount? In Kansas, there are no automatic recounts. Recounts happen only when a candidate requests one. So who pays for it? That's the other question. The state will pay for the recount if the margin between candidates is less than half of a percentage point. Otherwise, the candidate requesting the recount is on the hook. Looking at the statewide races, which were called today, Governor Laura Kelly and Derek Schmidt were not within half of a percentage point. The same for Chris Kobach and Chris Mann in the Attorney General's race. That margin was more than 2 percentage points. The state last had recounts in August. It was over the Republican race for treasurer and Amendment 2, which failed in the August election by double digits. The group requesting the Amendment 2 recount put up enough money for a recount in 9 counties, which included Johnson County.
Well, now to a rematch with the same result. For the second time, U.S. Representative Sharice Davids has beaten Republican contender Amanda Adkins to keep her seat in Kansas's 3rd district. Going into this race, there were predictions that it would be a close one, especially after redistricting changed the dynamics. Half of Wyandotte County, traditionally more liberal-leaning, was cut from the district. More rural areas, typically more conservative, were added. While the change wasn't enough to oust Davids, she told me earlier today it will broaden her priorities in office going forward.
I also look, next year the Farm Bill is coming up, and especially now I'm on the Agriculture Committee now. We have the Kansas 3rd has more farmers and producers now.
In addition to representing farmers, Representative Davids told me she plans to continue focusing on infrastructure improvements and trying to lower the cost of prescription drugs. She also credits her track record on those very topics, as well as her stance on protecting reproductive rights, with helping her get reelected. That race was one expert said would play a role in the balance of power in the U.S. House. You can see right now, Democrats hold 187 seats. Republicans hold 204. Either side must hold 218 seats to have a majority.
On Election Day, the entire state decided on an issue that only impacts Kansas City. Amendment 4 calls for increased minimum funding for state-controlled police departments.
And as we know, there's only one of those. That's right here in Kansas City. State law already required Kansas City to spend at least 20% of its general revenue on police. Missourians passed the amendment, which raises that now to 25%.
I-Team reporter Ryan Takeo explains exactly how that vote breaks down.
So we know KCPD is the department impacted, but the one county that actually voted no against Amendment 4, it was St. Louis County. You see that spread, 48% for increasing police funding to that local department, but 52% said no. We know that in Jackson County that 55% actually voted in favor of increasing that funding. In Kansas City, it was a little bit different. It actually was the inverse of it. You had 62% saying, about 62% saying no. They wanted local control instead of yes, the state control to increase that police funding.
Thanks, Ryan. Police did tell KSHB 41 they plan to work on their final budget with the city. The mayor told us the battle for local control of the police department begins today.
Because of state control of the police, our Kansas City Police Department employees, our officers, are not the highest paid in this region, although I think they're often under the highest threat. Our officers are not getting the resources they need because the board can spend the money and transfer it on anything they want.
Mayor Lucas referencing the Board of Police Commissioners, of which he is a member. Additionally, the mayor says the city has filed legal pleading that says the Senate bill to increase the minimum police budget funding is not constitutional.
Well, the yes vote on question 2 in Kansas City could bring relief to people dealing with housing insecurity. Initiative passed and it will provide $50 million for affordable housing.
KSHB 41 News reporter Leslie Delaspore spoke with one man about how this vote could change his life.
Fresh produce, fresh produce. Imagine not being able to come home to that ideal of the place that you call home.
This is the reality for Phil Washington as he works to sort out his life.
I just got out of prison. I've been out of prison 3 years. I did 17 years. You know, I'm employed, but I'm homeless.
A delivery driver who feels a gap is finally closing when it comes to finding a place to live.
I'm grateful because my situation is a real situation.
Thanks to yes votes on question 2, allocating $50 million into the Housing Trust Fund for deeply affordable housing.
We have a lot of people who are homeless right now, and some of that is because we do not have an adequate supply of affordable housing. So we need to increase that supply.
Something that could help folks like Phil unpack the hardships in their life.
I'm here, and I think now it's about stability. It's about stability.
A basic right that Councilman Dan Fowler says will take time, but give many a new outlook on life.
$50 million will be financed over a period of time. It will come in roughly over the next 5 years. Housing is essential. Housing is absolutely essential for everyone. It's the core thing, I think, in a lot of people's lives.
Phil says he can now drive his life in a new direction.
This truly affordable housing, okay, I can get into a place. I can be settled. I can settle in and really start focused on some priorities. Hey, let's get this credit in line, you know.
In Kansas City, Leslie Delasport, KSHB 41 News.
Folks, you can find a full rundown of election results on our website, kshb.com. Just go to the Decision 22 section.